Hello, hi. My name is Shia, and I am sharing my musings in this series that I'm calling Uninspired Ramblings of Pure Inspiration. This is a series this was actually the very first blog that I had, which I think I started in about, I don't know, 2006, 2000, like early blog days. I had a blog and I would just share my thoughts. And so that's what we do here. And so I start with a quick intro, providing the inspiration behind the musing that I'm going to discuss. I share the musing and then I talk about it. So let's start with the intro piece. This musing, just as knowing, so sometimes I'm clear about the inspiration, sometimes I'm not. For this particular one, I actually had written a title above it. I'm not always good at like dating and titling my musings because I'll just have them wherever. But this one, I titled it Birthday Video Thoughts. And I believe that it was a musing that I wrote because I was going to do like a birthday video, one of those pithy birthday videos you see on people's social media platforms where there's like a montages of pictures or video clips of them. And then they're like sharing these thoughts and then they end on like, I don't know, some type of either fly pose of themselves at this current age or a baby picture. So I was going to do that. And so I came up with this. And so I wrote this down to be the voiceover for that video. I ultimately didn't do it, but that was the inspiration. And this was something, I don't have a date on this particular musing, but I believe it was during lockdown, which is why I was considering the video, because I wasn't going outside for my birthday because we were locked down. And so I wanted to do something online. So that is the inspiration behind this musing. Let's dive into the musing. I've come to realize that we all are doing the best we can, and it's okay if someone's best is not enough for me. We all deserve the fullest existence possible. I'm not obligated to suffer because someone's best requires me to expect less, accept less, or be less. Go where you are served and not starved. So let's get into it. First, I want to say I cannot take credit for the "go where you are served, not starved" piece. I have seen that on various memes, social media posts. I heard people say it in inspirational posts. Like, I think it hits, it does what it needs to do, especially for this particular music. So that's where I grabbed it from. But however, though, I will say that this musing, one, I really appreciated when I came across it because I will occasionally look at my musing ideas document. And whenever I look at this, it always resonates. And I always think, that has been the way that I have been living my life. And I encourage other people to do the same. And so I think that this musing is important because it really speaks to kind of being okay with having to adjust when you're in community with people. The idea for me anyway, I don't want to appear as if I'm speaking for others, is that when you take the time to develop friendships and relationships and really like build community around yourself, when you do that work, just removing people from that network, to me has always felt very short-sighted. I'll say short-sighted. It felt very short-sighted because we need community. We are communal beings. And so if you have done all this work to build a relationship with someone, and then if they do something you don't like and you're just like, or your life changes, and rather than working to maintain that relationship, you're just like, or staying in relationships or I won't even say staying in relationships, because as I think about this musing, it's not so much about like maintaining relationships as they are, but being willing to grow and shift and flow as relationships need to. And so this isn't saying that you have to drop someone because their best isn't enough for you. But what this is saying, though, is that it's okay to acknowledge that it isn't. Because often when I hear people talk about, long-term relationships, so these are like people who have been in your life for decades. And, it applies for familial relationships. But I really was thinking about this as it related to friendships, platonic relationships, because I have friends who I have known since we were 12. There are people that I'm in community with who I've known since I was 12. Like active community, like not only are we Facebook friends, but like when I have, functions or big things, they are on the list for invitation. I know their life partners and their kids, they know mine. Like these are people I'm in community with. And when you've been in community with people that long, relationships change. And so I think the first way someone may listen to this is say like, well, right, you're not going to stay in my life if you can't contribute or if you require me to shrink. And true, there are some people who, you have to remove them from your life. But I like to think about that more so in instances where either the season with that person has ended, or if it's like a harmful situation, then for sure, then you need to take this as I'm not sticking around. But I'm thinking about those generally positive, supportive, good relationships where the reciprocity has shifted and the person who you're in the relationship with, for whatever reason that they're dealing with in their life, they cannot reciprocate in the same way. So does that mean that you drop them, or you adjust, what I like to say, deprioritize the relationship? Or maybe not deprioritize, because that can sound like you make them less of a priority. And so does that mean they're no longer a priority? Or if they're like your ace boon coon, sorry, I feel like I just dated myself with that, and it's fine, it's just going to happen. But they're like your day one. They're the person that you has spent time with. You all are, connected at the hip. You do all the things together, etc. And then something happens where, say they, have a career opportunity that takes them to another state. And not like one state over from you, but like 5 or 6 states over from you, or a whole different coast than the coast that you're on, or even like another country. You are going to have to adjust their necessity in your life, because they can't show up. They physically can't show up the way that they always have. So in that instance, you would deprioritize them, which means like if they're priority number one, as far as like the person that you spend time with, go out with, and experience the world with, they cannot be that person anymore in the same way. Because when you are in community, when you are with them, it is a special occasion because there's been a trip made. You've made plans. You've taken off of work. Somebody has taken off of work. Somebody, like it's a special occasion. Whereas before they were just in your life on an everyday basis. And so that is how I would say, looking at this musing, when you're thinking about, deserving the fullest existence possible and not suffering. And sometimes not suffering means walking away entirely, but I think we should consider the gray when it comes to relationship, and think that sometimes not suffering just means stepping away partially, especially if you actually do want the person to stay in your life. And I think just arbitrarily kind of following the whole like, well, if somebody does something or if things change for them, then that means that we're just no longer supposed to be friends. And there are some instances where that's the case, but that's not always the case. And it's important to have nuance and think about it when you encounter those situations. And I say this as somebody who, again, I have friends who I've known since I was 12, 14. It will probably be younger, but the people that I knew when I was like 8, like a lot of them relocated. Well, not a lot of them. There's some of them that, there's some of them that I do know, but we're not in community because, we are just, but as I think about it, see, now I'm thinking about my own experience and my own situation. We are in community because, we're Facebook friends. I know what's going on with their lives. If I see them, like, hey, how's the littlest one? You just had a baby. So there's still a level of community. So I think that's my perspective where I'm coming from. I think being so quick to discard those people that you choose to place in your life, maybe should be something that you reconsider if that's something that you've done before. And so, yeah, that is my musing. And now I'd like to talk with you in the comments. What are your thoughts about this musing? About how did you take it? How do you think about, I'm talking specifically about platonic relationships, but this can apply really across the board. This can even apply for like work situations and work settings, as far if you're in like community with someone at work. Like this has broad implications, of course, but for me, friendships and platonic friendships are just kind of a top of mind thing for me. And so that's where that came from. But yeah, what are your thoughts about this particular musing? Let's talk about them in the comments. I will say, as I continue to say at the end of every video, please do not come to the comments to tell someone that their thoughts are wrong. Their thoughts are theirs, and let's have engagement with a level of curiosity, and not trying to win the conversation. It's not really about right or wrong. These are perspectives and point of views. And so that's what we should be chatting about. So with that, I look forward to your comments and your thoughts. And I look forward to the next time that I can come to you with an uninspired rambling of pure inspiration. Bye.